Good morning, I'm Ed Lingao. It is Thursday, the 20th of March, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. 51% of Filipinos say former President Duterte should face accountability for drug war killings, but his allies dismiss the survey. Starting Monday, Manibela will stage another transport strike. The Transportation Department respects the protest but appeals for dialogue to spare commuters. And the MILF, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, voices frustration over President Marcos's BTA appointees. But the palace says give the new interim chief minister a chance to perform his duties. A recent SWS survey found that 51% of Filipinos agree that former President Duterte should be held accountable for all extrajudicial killings under his leadership. Here's the story.
More than half of Filipinos believe that former President Rodrigo Duterte should be held accountable for the extrajudicial killings during his administration. That's according to a new survey from the social weather stations commissioned by Stratbase. The survey, conducted from February 15 to 19, found that 51% of respondents agreed that Duterte is liable. Meanwhile, 25% disagreed, 14% were undecided, and 10% said they did not have enough knowledge to express an opinion. Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo dismissed the results, calling the survey questionable.
Yung 51%, parang it does not reflect the reality on the ground. Kasi right now, wherever you go, puro Duterte ang pinag-uusapan sila, naaawa sila, nagagalit sila, kahit saan ka magpunta, sa palengke, sa taxi driver, sa jeepney driver, sa party, sa bar.
In contrast, the group Rise Up for Life and for Rights welcomed the findings. They say this highlights that even before the former president's arrest last week, a significant number of Filipinos were already seeking justice.
Siyempre po natutuwa kami sa ganyang resulta ng survey kasi yun naman po yung aming panawagan na ma-hold accountable si Duterte at yung mga kasama niya, lalo na po yung mga generals na naging kasampot tungkol dito sa pag-implement ng war on drugs.
Duterte remains in detention at the ICC in The Hague, Netherlands, with his confirmation charges hearing set for September 23.
And to talk more about the survey, we have Stratbase President Dito Manhit. Sir, magandang umaga and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Ed, and good morning to your televiewers.
Sir, certainly a fascinating survey. The results, we'd like to dive into. For some reason that we'd like to ask you about, bakit po yung mukhang yung mga bailiwick ng Pangulo pa, where he is supposed to be strong, sa kanila talaga mas malakas yung agreement na panagutin ang dating Pangulo. For example, Visayas 62% strongly agree that he should be held accountable. Mindanao is at 47 versus NCR at only 45. It's not what some people would expect.
That's the idea of scientific surveys, Ed. You try to get a snapshot of people when nobody's talking about the issue. Diba? That means nobody's shaping the narrative. Nobody's disinforming the public. It's basically what they feel. It's a possible reality that the NCR, they saw that the drug war or the fighting of crime is stronger in their feeling. No? But what we've noticed is from the result of the survey is the term may napatay. But there's a difference. We've always seen that even during the time of President Duterte when we were tracking this, not only with social weather station, but other groups, that drug war as a way to fight criminality was positive. Pero when they see innocent death, bumababa even the performance of the president. If you would remember the death of some young teenagers.
Kian del Santos.
Yeah. So that was the lowest performance rating of our own president. So we felt, given all this noise, we wanted to work with social weather station and see the public perception towards this issue. And this is what we saw. But of course, we have to emphasize, and thank you for sharing the data, that this was done before the arrest. What's the difference? Now everybody is polarized, partisan. We agree with Secretary Panelo na maaaring yung nakakausap nila, yun ang linya. But as I've said, that's why these surveys are meant to get a feel of where the public stands. And what I see different is that kung may kamatayan, may pagpatay na hindi na naaayon sa proseso na legal, di ba? Gusto managot ng tao. Ang Pangulo, because he kept on saying that he should be accountable for the actions of the security sector during his time.
That he would take responsibility, sir, and accountability. Yes, sir.
Kasi yung
Remember that.
responsibility is sa Tagalog, pananagutan niya.
So, sir, konti pa paghihimay. I'm also looking at yung paghihimay ng rural versus urban sa kanayunan versus dito sa sa mga syudad. I suppose it's also a bit of a surprise na 52%, mas malaki ng rural respondents think that he should be held accountable versus 48% ng mga nasa urban areas. What do you think also explains that?
Of course, it's within the margin of error. No?
Yes, sir.
2% kasi
2%.
margin of error natin. But it's possible that maaari ito ay shocking sa kanayunan, no? Na pinapatay ang mga ordinaryong tao or napapatay sa issue ng drugs na wala namang kaso. Kaya, so sa akin ngayon, kaya yung salita namin dito is maybe we really see at both rural and urban areas a vibrant Philippine democracy that wants public officials to be accountable for abuse of power if there is, no? If there is. Kaya importante yung kung talagang mapakita na merong mga kamatayan, pagpatay na hindi nasa ayon sa procedure ng ating, we live in a rule of law. Diba? Ayaw natin na may pumapatay lamang, may napapatay. So baka yun ang perception. No? Kasi mahirap alamin eh. Ang tawag
Yes,
namin dyan, if you want to dig deep dito, Ed, we need qualitative survey.
Yeah.
So siguro yun ang susunod namin gagawin. Pag-aaralan, you have to process more these answers. But right now, we just wanted to share this because we tried to do this last February. Dahil nga, umuugong yung ICC. We just wanted to feel of where the people is. But maaring nag-iiba to, lalo-lalo na with the narrative last week. No? Grabe ang mga diskusyon tungkol sa isyong ito. Maaring mag-iba. It swings on the other side. But sabi nga natin, this is a baseline where the people feel right before. No? Because we got this data towards the end of, I think, first week of March or end of February. No? So right before the arrest of the president.
Ang sabi nga ni Salvador Panelo, yung dating legal counsel ng dating Pangulo, it does not reflect reality on the ground. Of course, he's talking about now, not about the time when the survey was taken, which was in February, I think 11 to 15.
And you know, we have all these discussed surveys through the years, as we know each other. Your reality is different from scientific reality because your reality is kung sino yung nakakausap.
Apo.
Kasi kung lahat ng reality na nakakausap natin, yun ang realidad natin, minsan akala natin yun ang malakas. But rallies of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people does not reflect the 117 million Filipinos. Just like elections. Diba,
Yes,
pag
sir.
election, malakas ako kasi ang daming pumunta sa aming rally. Nakausap ko sila. Pero lalabas namin yung survey namin, ibang-ibang resulta. At kung ano yung nilalabas namin survey, and we've been doing this with both Social Weather Station, Pulse Asia since 2004. Probing social issues, political issues, economic issues. Tumutugma naman sa feeling ng tao. Kaya ang tawag natin dyan is science. And that's why I'm a political scientist.
Sir, let me ask you to put on your hat as a political scientist again. Of course, this was taken in February, a month or almost a month before the activity last week, kung saan hinuli yung dating Pangulo at dinala sa Dahig. How do you think that could affect the public sentiment now? Yes, sir.
It will not affect because what's affecting public sentiment now is the massive political discourse, and you have to admit it, not factual. I think we all got deluged. Even King Charles is against the arrest. Even
Queen
some
Elizabeth.
fictional character, fictional lawyers are against this, no? Referring to 3 TV shows in the United States. So that kind of can shape political discourse, and we are outside that realm. We are simply reflecting the baseline of where the Filipino people was towards the end of February when this data was run and was processed. So we wanted just to show that, as I've said, we have existed for 20 years as a policy institute, trying to get the feel of the public on a scientific way and not based on who I talk to, who I face.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In fact, we even saw a post allegedly or a news story, a supposed news story of U.S. President Trump issuing an executive order telling the
Yes.
ICC to release the former president from detention. So that
Quite,
among many other
quite
things that
sad,
have been coming out.
this information that has been happening, and it's even shaping discourse. We all want as a nation, as a people even, to be protected. That's why we have lawyers, to be protected by the rule of law, right? We believe in our democracy. That's why we elect and vote people. But this information will
Yes,
create
sir.
really a society that is being shaped by what we call malign influence. And that is very dangerous for Philippine democracy. Would we like to have even our own economic data being disinformed about the public? Would we like social issues to have fake news? So that's very dangerous. So we felt that, and we will continue to do this and practice. If we see a difference in terms of support for one or another, then we will report it also. But we just hope that not for your own political motive, you will encourage disinformation and misinformation. That's very dangerous for a society like the Philippines, whereby we value democracy. We value our rights. Sabi ko nga, ang demokrasya ang nagbibigay kapantayan sa mga makapangyarihang dynasty, sa mga makapangyarihang political oligarchs against ordinary people. So let's not abuse the mind of the Filipino people. We have seen that since we started Stratbase in 2004, how the Filipino people value their right to vote, right? They go against people who cheat them. This information is a form of cheating them.
Pero sir, the elections are a month and a half away. Given all the elements that we've talked about so far, the baselines that we have so far, for example, from the survey, but as well the amount of information and disinformation that's been coming all over us about what happened last week. Do you think this will be an issue in the 2025 midterm elections? Do you think it will be a bigger issue than we earlier thought?
This is a big issue, and the best survey will be actually election day.
Yes, sir.
So we will be running surveys, and we are actually running survey a week after the arrest of the President Duterte, and see the results. Some survey groups are running also surveys, but the best survey is really actual election day, when the public votes for whose candidate will they side. Will it be the alianza that President Marcos has brought together of different political parties? At the end of the day, not because you're strong in one area, you will have strength in the whole Philippines. So that's where the challenge in both parties are. And in the part of Stratbase and our survey partners, we will continue to track this and be transparent about it. Pure and simple scientific facts.
Yes, sir. Sir, my last question to you: what message would you like to leave to the public as far as not just as far as the survey is concerned, but also as far as developments last week are concerned, political and social developments, especially yung pagkakakuha kay dating Pangulong Duterte? What message would you want to leave to the public?
Realidad of Philippine society right now, that we are a polarized society. Even 51% reflects polarization. But at the end of the day, if there are evidences, which we assume there is, for the ICC to issue a warrant, and evidences will start coming out, so I think it's up for us to listen to actual facts. Actual facts. And let us respect the rights that we have based on facts. Would we like it to happen to us if there are actual facts that people was summarily executed? So these are things that we need to take note of. But as I've said, we try to be in Stratbase to be as objective as we can be, and we simply report what is the feeling, the perception in the ground, and that's what we are reporting to our partner SWS, that this is a baseline. When nobody was talking about it, we wanted to ask that question. So you get a very pure perception, because though there was no disinformation, there was no narrative shaping, because nobody expected this question. from the public.
Sir, is another survey in the works? You mentioned already a while ago that you are making some plans. And what timetable are we looking at?
A lot of these surveys could be currently running. We don't say when, because even us, we don't ask when, because that is the purity of survey. You don't tamper, you don't spin it, you don't use it to disinform public. So we will wait just for the result and happy to share it and have a conversation with you, Ed.
Okay, maraming salamat. And thank you, sir, for the survey, Strat-based President Dindo Manhit. Salamat po.
Thank you.
Presidential sister and Senator Amy Marcos is scheduled to hold a probe into the arrest of former President Duterte today, March 20. Senator Marcos earlier said the issue that has deeply divided the nation and that it is imperative to know whether due process was followed. According to the senator, she's inviting officials from various agencies, including the PNP and the Departments of Justice and Foreign Affairs. Ms. Marcos, or Senator Marcos, maintains that the Senate must address critical concerns to uphold the country's jurisdiction. Senator Bato de la Rosa says he will not surrender if the ICC issues a warrant for his arrest. Just a week ago, de la Rosa said that he was ready to be arrested and brought to The Hague, even saying he would take care of former President Duterte while there. But now it seems that he is considering other options, including staying within Senate premises for as long as possible. This comes after Senate President Jesus Cordero said de la Rosa will be given institutional courtesies.
Magandang kuha niya sa akin, option. Dahil nga, hindi ka na pwedeng huliin. Napaka-adya ka sa loob. At dapat respetuhin nila yung Senate as an institution. So, maganda yun para sa akin.
De la Rosa, however, clarifies that he will not hang on to the Senate's protection. He says that he's also considering other courses of action, including hiding. But if authorities eventually arrest him, De La Rosa says he will not resist.
Kung wala tayong makita na hostisya dito sa ating bansa, bakit ka susuko? Di ba? Titignan natin. As I've said, I will cross the bridge when I get there.
Do not go away. We'll be back with more stories after this break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. VP Duterte casts doubt on a chain of evidence following the discovery of more suspicious beneficiaries of confidential funds. VP Sara says that she could not confirm if the names were real people due to her uncertainty over the basis of the allegations. She says the attack on her confidential funds is never ending amid her impeachment. This comes after House lawmakers revealed names like Miggy Mango and Jay Camote being in the list of the OVP's list of confidential fund beneficiaries. Justice Secretary Boying Remulla challenges former presidential spokesman Harry Roque to return to the Philippines and face the complaints against him. Remulla says Roque had no reason to seek asylum in the Netherlands as he was not being politically persecuted in the country. Roque is facing a qualified human trafficking complaint over his alleged involvement in the raided Pogo hub in Porac, Pampanga. Congress also issued an arrest order against him for repeatedly failing to attend hearings on illegal Pogo operations in the country.
Sinisiksik niya yung mukha niya para maging relevant siya. Hindi naman siya kailangan dito eh. Wala pa nga nangyayari, tumatakas na siya eh. Di ba? Eh, hindi, harapin niya.
Wala pang kaso.
Diba? Abogado pa naman siya. Hindi siya sumusunod sa batas. Sumunod siya sa batas, harapin niya.
The Transportation Department is seeking a dialogue with Transport Group Manibela to avert their planned strike. Here's the story.
Manibela is set to stage a 3-day nationwide jeepney strike starting on March 24. In an interview on The Big Story, Chairman Marvel Buena said false data on the PUV modernization program prevented drivers from renewing the registration.
Paano pa kami magtitiwala? Isipin po ninyo yung datos na 86% na sinasabi po nila, 43% lamang po ang talagang consolidated na at nakapag-comply talaga.
Valbuena renewed their calls on the government to suspend the program.
Yung gusto nating sabihin at iparating kay Secretary Vince Dizon na isuspend yung implementation ng PUBMP dahil nga po marami na ang nalugi at marami na rin ang naghirap dahil dito.
In an interview on True FM, Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon admitted that only 43% of jeepney operators had been approved for consolidation.
Approved na po pala ay hindi 86%, kundi 43% pa lang. Ibig sabihin nun, ang nagsubmit na ng kumpletong requirements ay 43% pa lang. Yung 86% po pala, nagsumiti pa lang. Pero hindi pa po nakukumpleto at hindi pa po na-approve.
Dizon said Assistant Secretary Jojo Reyes will meet with stakeholders to discuss the matter. He noted though that the PUV modernization program is here to stay but will be implemented gradually.
Napaka-masalimuot po nito. No? Naniniwala po ako ngayon, hindi po ito dapat madaliin. At hindi po ito pwedeng bigla-biglaan, pipilit na natin ang nationwide.
Presidential Peace Advisor Carlito Galvez Jr. defends the appointment of former Maguindanao del Norte Governor Abdul Rauf Makakua as interim chief minister of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. This comes after a letter circulated claiming that the MLF does not recognize the appointment. Galvez argues that only some MLF members may oppose Makakua, but this does not reflect the stance of the entire Moro Islamic Liberation Front. He adds that Makakua's appointment did not violate the Bangsamoro Organic Law or the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. Galvez also notes that former Interim Chief Minister Alhaj Murad Ibrahim resigned his position upon learning that President Bongbong Marcos had appointed a new leader. Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after a short break. I'm Ed Lingao. This is Morning Matters. Patrolman Francis Steve Talion Fontiles refused to undergo a neuropsychiatric exam. The PNP says he presented himself for the exam, but then he refused, saying that he's been taking it over and over again. Fontiles is the police officer who went viral online for his social media posts amid the arrest of former President Duterte. On Tuesday, the Philippine National Police said the QCPD filed a case of inciting to sedition against Fontiles. Fontiles was assigned to the District Personnel and Holding Administration but has been absent without leave since March 6.
Pulis ako, pero hindi ako.
Okay, we discussed that and more with NAPOLCOM Chief Rafael Calinisan. Sir, Attorney Calinisan, thank you for joining us.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Mabuhay.
Interesting case itong kay Fontiles. But let me start off with this muna. Well, at least the report said that he refused to undergo a neuropsychiatric exam kasi sabi raw niya he's been taking it over and over again. How does that work? Are they required, and how often are they required to take that exam?
On paper, they should, or all policemen, especially the frontliners, must take a neuro exam every year.
Every year?
To check the mental fitness of the policeman. Pero in this case, medyo special case tong si Fontiles. The reason why he was asked to take it again, there was a letter request from his superior in February that there appears to be erratic behavior from Fontiles. So that's why the QCPD Health Service wrote the regional office asking for a more comprehensive exam be done for Fontiles, which Fontiles refuses to take. So here we are, after that quote-unquote request. He was triggered by an incident of an arrest by a former president, and he has been constantly posting seditious content in his social media page.
Okay, so this new exam that he was supposed to take is outside of the regular yearly
Yes,
exam.
it's outside.
It was supposed to be more detailed and more comprehensive.
Yes, correct. So, if I may, even as early as 2023, in July, I didn't want to touch on this, but the facts necessitate this. In July, he was already consulting a medical professional here in the Philippine National Police, and he has been constantly having consultations. So for the span of 4 months, his firearm was removed from him as he was not deemed to be fit to work. But in October 2023, he was adjudged fit.
Okay.
So he was given his firearm back and was given his daily tasks. From October 2023 until February, he didn't do his consultations, and something happened in February which triggered his superior to write the health service.
Well, sir, kasi several issues here that we can and we should talk about. Among them, of course, number one, yung mga violations, yung mga alleged violations niya. You're looking at sedition is one case, and there's also his behavior, which is an administrative case as well. And then also, yung paraan ng pulisya, ng NAPOLCOM, for example, ng pagre-recruit at pag-i-screen ng mga police. So we'll try to go through all of that. Kasi in the end, these are the people in the neighborhood. Sabi sa Sesame Street, the people in the neighborhood that we meet every day. And so it's also important that we get to meet the right people every day. Okay, sir. Let me start off with that. And of course, there are also limitations as to what we can talk about kasi some of them are, I suppose, are medical and private. So I leave it to you to decide lang which we can talk about. But for example, how exactly are policemen screened dun sa pagdating sa hindi lang sa medical as well dun sa intentions, motives, and their sense of duty. It's the NAPOLCOM, di ba, that administers the exam for police entrance, if I got it right.
For the exam. But note that the psychological exam, it is conducted by the Philippine National Police. So in this case, in Fontiles' case, the regional office, which is the NCRPO, who has a quota for the recruitment of policemen in 2021, were the ones who conducted the neuropsychological exam on Fontillas. The actual exam, like the aptitude, was conducted by the National Police Commission. So when all of them, when Fontillas
assemble
passed,
them,
he was given the green light and he was allowed to enter the Philippine National Police in 2021. Which actually makes me question, kung 2021, bagong police tong si Fontillas And by 2023, there are some issues already detected. Bakit hindi siya nakita noong 2021? So I actually ordered that I get to receive the whole recruitment documents of Fontillas, particularly the medical records and the neuropsychological exam. I already received a one-pager, which obviously I'm not content with. So I'm asking for the whole set because I want to see gaano ba ka-in-depth talagang psychological exam. Kasi kailangan nating silipin at isipin na these are policemen, they are wearing uniforms, badges, and guns, and dapat yung recruitment process must be comprehensive, particularly the neuropsychiatric portion.
Because these are people that we pay to protect us
Yes.
with firearms that we bought for them.
Yes, correct.
But again, I'll have to leave this to you kasi of course there are things that we may not be allowed to go into. But how comprehensive ba yung pagtetest sa mga ito? Whether it's psychological or physical or technical, how comprehensive are the tests?
Correct. These are things I cannot really discuss in depth. Pero quite honestly, being 3 months in, I'm not quite satisfied with how it's still being conducted. Maybe it's time for a review of the process by which the PNP recruit is brought into the fold. So, silipin natin how the psychological exam is really conducted. Talaga bang dibdiba ng examination dyan o medyo light lang? Because
Baka parang lisensya ng...
no, I cannot comment on another office. But what I'm saying is, people put our trust in the PNP. And dapat talaga buong-buong tiwala natin sa kanila. And the only way to also do that is to make sure that everyone is fit and competent to be wearing the uniform.
Ewan ko ngayon pero nung panahon, nung panahon ko, a couple of decades ago, there was a lot of talk na mga police quota ay nabibili lamang.
Yes.
I don't know how prevalent that was then and if it still is a problem now. That, because in the end, siyempre, ang posisyon sa PNP, permanente yan unless you screw up
Yes,
permanente yan, so meron kang, you have a stable job, you have a firearm, you have authority over ordinary people, and of course, in the end, you have pension. So, it's a good way to, it's a good living, in
Yes,
other words. So, there was a lot of talk from before pa na nabebenta ang quota. I don't know if that really was a real problem, if it's still a problem now.
If you don't remember, both my parents were policemen. And in the dinner table, naririnig ko yung problemang yan. So that was a long time ago. I'll be lying to you if I say that there are no reports that has come in, that there's still that issue. But I can safely say that I think the recruitment process of the PNP is we call this sacred. And yung mga recruits naman ng PNP ay maayos at the process is okay. But now, we really have to double, triple check kasi may mga ganitong isolated instances na kailangan nating pagtuunan ng pansin. And hindi rin biro kahit in this case, isang tao lang, single-handedly, nasisira ang reputasyon ng Philippine National Police. Itong tao pang ito, wala pa sa tamang pag-iisip. So, nakakagulat, nakakabother. So, it necessitates another review, a more comprehensive review of our recruitment process.
Well, to be fair, hindi na naman police yung nabawalitan ganun dati. Pati yung actually lahat ng uniform services, pati yung sa Philippine military, may reports na ganung quota. But anyway, okay, let's zoom in dun sa kaso nito na itong pinagagawa ni Fontillas. He's been so vocal online. Actually, he's pushing back.
Okay, nakatawin.
He's not apologetic, he's angry, and he's daring the PNP to go after him.
Yes.
That's unusual? Or is it?
It's very unusual. Yun na nga yun eh. Kaya nga part ng mga kaso na final ng NAPOLCOM sa kanya kahapon was grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of a police officer. My question to you, Ed, ito bang galawan ng ganitong pulis, yung paghahamon sa yung PNP chief, paghahamon sa presidente, galawan ba to ng isang normal na pulis? I don't think so. Fontillas is not a reflection of the 225,000 strong Philippine National Police, men and women. So this is an isolated incident. Talagang may konting sakit lang talaga tong si Fontillas. I'm very careful to hit hard because he's not mentally...
There are other issues
Yeah,
as
there are
well
other issues.
on the table.
Yes, but we have to be fair also. Kasi nadadrag yung PNP institution ng isang tao may sakit. So, naawa ko sa PNP institution, hindi naman ganito yung all the rest of them eh. Isa lang to eh, na who has no grasp of reason right now and who needs not just a whip but a medical professional for him to get back to his senses. So, the QCPD has ordered that he report back to the camp. The NAPOLCOM is ordering him to report to the QCPD and face his charges. Kinasuhan namin siya, matapang siya, di ba? Kung matapang talaga siya, harapin niya yung mga kaso niya, both the criminal cases filed by the QCPD and the cases that we have filed in National Police Commission.
Pero sir, the fact that he got here this far and the fact that he was able to stay here
Yes.
for so long, I mean 2 years, di ba? Or 3 years actually, is also an indictment of the system where somebody like him is able to get in
Yes, correct.
and to be uniformed and to get armed.
Correct. Again, I will be lying if that's not the case. That is absolutely true. That's why we need to revisit. I'm 3 months in, Ed.
Yes, sir.
I have still 6 years to go, fixed term. Hayaan mo, we will look into these matters more closely. Hisilipin natin na mas maayos, mas malalim, para yung tiwala ng tao sa ating pulis laging nandoon. Hindi kasi pwedeng makalusot ang mga ganito eh. Yung isolated incidents na tinatawag, hindi po pwedeng lagi nilang isolated incidents eh. So, kailangan talaga we put a stop to it. Definitively.
Okay, sir, ito naman. Paano paghihimay ng NAPOLCOM dito? Siyempre, everybody has rights. People have rights, even policemen have rights, of course. Some would say the right to express themselves, the freedom of expression. Until where does it go and where does it stop? As far as policemen are concerned.
Yes. Policemen do not lose their right to self-expression. Nasa Philippine Constitution yan. However, these rights have limits. Ika nga, you cannot abuse your rights. First and foremost, we are government employees. And more importantly, we are in the uniformed service. So, we bow down to what is best to the greater majority. Hindi po pwede yung sasabihin mo lang yung gusto mo dahil gusto mo lang. Abusing your right and to the detriment of the rights of others. So, we have to be more circumspect. Itong karapatan ko, kung isipin mo na lang, Ed, kunwari, lahat ng police, 225,000, may sarili-sariling political opinion at lahat sila very vocal, there will be a breakdown in discipline. And that is integral in the uniform service.
Chain of command.
Chain of command, hierarchy, isang kumpas. Hindi po pwedeng lahat siga. So, everyone follows orders, lawful orders. But hindi naman nawawala yung right to self-expression mo eh. Yung freedom of expression mo. You can do that in private gatherings maybe, but not in social media. And more importantly, meron na tayong rules in place. There are the rules on personal decorum, code of ethics, 2 memorandum circulars on social media. Very clear doon na bawal na mag-post ng political content sa ating social media pages. Wala pa tayo dun sa civil service rules, wala pa tayo dun sa obvious limitations of the uniform. But of course, we should take it as a whole, hindi lang yung we take portions of the law and just say that's it.
It's all contextualized.
Yes, correct.
Pero sir, you're a lawyer.
Yes.
How do you define political content? As for example, in the case of the PNP, bawal ang political content sa social media. Some may argue na mga pilosopo, but everything is political in this country. Di ba?
Yeah, correct.
Paano yung paghihimay ninyo?
totoo na wala naman talaga exactong definition na political content is like that. But you have to use your own discernment. Klaro naman siguro sa atin, using our common sense, what is political content and what is neutral.
Kunwari, kung kaharap po mga naka-assemble ng mga police, you have 225,000 policemen in front of you, at sinabi sa iyo, sir, paliwanag mo sa kanila kung anong bawal at anong hindi in terms of political content. How would you tell them?
I will not mandate what is right and what is wrong because that is prior restraint. It is also in the Constitution na you should not tell them na ito yan ito yung... But we have to realize that they're all adults. We know we're all professionals. We are given a set of laws, given a set of rules. It is clear that no political content. And in fact, in February, I gave a directive that there should be no political content for all the policemen. Klaro naman everyone's following. So hindi naman natin kailangan sabihin na political content is defined as A, B, C, D. We don't need to do that. They're all adults, they understand, they're intelligent, that's why they're policemen. So I trust them, we trust each other, para magkapatid ang relasyon ng National Police Commission at ng Philippine National Police. At dapat pagkatiwalaan talaga ng tao yung PNP, and the NAPOLCOM's job is to make sure that that happens.
Well, sir, I understand naman. Of course, it's hard to pin it all down in black and white.
Yes.
But at the same time, you'd also want to have some broad strokes.
Correct.
Kasi in the end, may mga magtuturan na parang, hindi naman yung nilinaw kung ano yung sabihin ng bawal at hindi. Wala namang ganun patakaran. But you know what I mean? For example, among journalists, although it's always talked about, but there's no real hard and fast rule as to how you express yourself, for example, on social media. As much as possible, we're supposed to show. I mean, actually, to be honest about it, even the issue of objectivity among reporters is as well been debated on over and over again. Who is objective ba? The most objective person in the world is the stenographer, because all he does is write everything that happens.
Correct.
But that's not what reporters do. Reporters have to weed through all the weeds and look for the biggest story, most important story, and that's what you put in the first paragraph.
Yes.
That's editorializing.
Correct.
But that's editorial judgment. That's what reporters do. So may ganun kami. But it's not really, it's not really a hard and fast rule. I mean, it's not really in black and white. But we do talk about it. Pero kayo, what do you think? I mean, I'm trying to look for a way for people and for policemen as well to understand kung saan ang limitasyon ng political content. Kasi it's been bedeviling us for the past 8 years already.
I understand.
Especially in the last administration. I'll go into that later. Pero you know what I mean. Could you contextualize it some more? Anong red line, kumbaga? Maybe the gray line is mahirap i-define, pero anong red line?
Sige, let me rephrase my answer this way. We will review our social media policies and rules. That's one. Pero two, siguro naman, klaro-klaro na kapag nagpapahayag ka na vote this person.
Yun, di ba?
Kaya don't vote for that. O sisiraan mo yung particular person na to, pupurihin mo yung isa to put
Example,
down
when
the
you
other
campaign for or against a person or a
That
party.
is clearly campaigning or political content. Yung all the rest, you really have to exercise your judgment. And totoo, Ed, while you're pressing me for parang a criteria, parang I'm still inclined, though we will review, we're still inclined to respect the moral judgment and moral compass of the policeman. Kasi tiwala talaga yun alam naman natin kung ano yung political content at ano yung hindi. But yung respeto lang also in their rights, in their right to self-expression, and yung the right to regulate and control and supervise over these policemen. May sensitive balance yan. Hindi naman porket nandito tayo sa National Police Commission, we impose everything on them. We really have to...
They're not children.
They're not children. In the same way na parang pag may girlfriend ka, may anak ka, hindi mo sasabihin na ito ang mga bawal, A, B, C, D, E. You really have to trust people in...
Maraming ganun, ABCD.
Depende na yan siguro. But I know you understand what I'm trying to say. But The long and short of it, Ed, we're gonna review the social media policies.
Okay.
And we'll get back to you if there's a need to update these social media policies. Kung di pa clear, kaklaruhin pa natin lalo.
Ang sinampan ng pulisya o NAPOLCOM dun sa
Grave misconduct?
Grave misconduct. Grave
Yes.
misconduct. Actually, that's pretty generic enough naman that it covers a lot of things.
Yes.
So it's pretty broad enough.
Yes.
So covered yan. Yung final naman ng was it also the PNP that filed sedition charges against him?
So it's the QCPD,
QCPD.
which filed the criminal charges against Fontillas. Ito yung inciting to sedition. Si National Police Commission, yun yung nag-file kahapon ng grave misconduct and conduct
Unbecoming
of a police officer.
police officer.
So yung grave misconduct stems from the inciting to sedition charge. Kasi part ng grave misconduct, if you're committing a crime dun sa as defined by the revised penal code, shoot ka sa grave misconduct. Dun sa kupo, dun sa mental block na ako sa kupo, kung hindi ka refleksyon ng tamang pulis, that is where the other administrative charge lies. So we charged them with both, and it's now ongoing. The validation report was already filed yesterday, and the admin charges are now ongoing.
Okay. Commissioner Calinisan, we'll just go into a short break. Don't go away. More matters to discuss after this break. Keep it here in One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Sir, back to our discussion. Okay, we're talking about political partisan political activities in the uniformed services, particularly the PNP. Pero let me also ask you about this kasi we're coming from an administration, I'm talking about the previous administration, where mas matingkad at mas obvious at mas out there yung well, I suppose I'd put it this way, signs of partisanship among the uniformed services. I say that kasi sa social media, for example, nung nakarang administrasyon, we saw a deluge of images of, generals and superintendents, patrolmen and private first class, and in between, na nag-fist bump. Especially when the president's there. And even when the president's not there, they post on social media, nakaganon sila. I bring that up kasi in other countries, things like that, pinagbabawal eh. For example, in the first term of President Trump, may isang grupo ng mga sundalo naglabas ng MAGA flag. Pinagbawal yun. Make America Great Again. Pinagbawal because naka-uniforme sila and they were flying the MAGA flag on their service vehicle.
Yes.
So may ganun, but it nakalusot yun for 6 years and even the big bosses were doing it. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about that, because that's also where we're coming from, and that may have affected or colored how we look at things now.
Let's put it this way. We're under new management. The president has not and will never politicize the Philippine National Police or the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Alam natin na these institutions are apolitical. I'm very happy to say that I've never seen any policeman or even any soldier engage in any partisan political activity. Happy ako. Yung mga fist bump, and all the permutations of that, never ko pa nakita in Metro Manila or in the field. And I'm quite happy to let you know that with all confidence, walang politika ngayon sa PNP-ED, and the National Police Commission will ensure that remains the same. Kung nangyari man yan noon, it's a sad part in our history, but I'm happy right now that politics is for politicians and law enforcement is for law enforcers, and it will remain that way. And we should protect institutions always.
Well, I know this predates your term. This was several years ago. Pero I'm wondering if there's anything about those occurrences or those incidents that I should understand, or that would contextualize how I should look at that. Is there any way that could be explained of as being acceptable in a democracy? I mean, is it, for example, katanggap-tanggap pa kasi considering that siya naman ang boss namin siya naman yung presidente. Is there any other way of looking at it, or am I just being a Taliban?
Hindi naman. Totoo niyan. When you mentioned it a while ago, my mind was wandering. I'm on the fence. Kasi I'm really of the position that there should be no tinge of any political gimmickry in the law enforcement sector. The only way that could be justified, yung sinasabi mo is, syempre happy sila na dinalaw sila ng presidente. Di ba? O kaya ecstatic sila. Baka hindi pa sila nadadalaw ever. So, maybe it's a sign of happiness. That's it. And he's the duly constituted authority then. That makes a semblance of an explanation. But in the real sense of the word, Ed, uulitin ko at paulit-ulit natin sasabihin, no politics for law enforcers. Bawal mamolitika ang pulis. So kung isipin mo, ang pulis, forever yan eh. In fact, bago naging PNP, naging PCINP yan, bago yan, MISG, Metrocom,
Philippine Scouts.
Whatever. It predates everyone from 19 Forgotten until we all
we're
die.
talking about institutions here. Institutions.
So dapat the institutions should always be protected, bereft of any political color, bereft of any political gimmickry, and they should be independent para magtiwala ang kahit na sinong mamamayan kung ano man ng kulay niya, green man, blue man yan, red man yan, pink man yan. We should always accept and serve the whole Filipino people regardless of color and beliefs.
Because the institution is supposed to stay.
Correct.
While administrations come and go.
Yes, correct. That is absolutely correct.
But it's easy for people to forget that.
Yun na nga. Pero we're here. I'm very happy that the President brought us to this place. I'm very happy that the President is very, very professional. I'm very thankful. Walang halong politika o nakikita sa kahit anong pamamalakad sa PNP or sa National Police Commission. And I'm very thankful.
Okay. Maraming salamat, sir, for joining us this morning. Anything you'd like to add?
Huwag kayong mag-alala to the Philippine National Police. Don't worry, tiwalang-tiwala tayong lahat sa kakayanan ninyo. This is an isolated incident kay Fontillas. Huwag lang tayong mamulitika. And to the Filipino people, your Philippine National Police will serve and protect you. Magtiwala lang po kayo sa amin.
Remember, elections in a month and a half. What message do you want to deliver to not just the public, but to the police force? 225,000 strong.
Just do our jobs like we do every day. Magdasal kayo, magtrabaho lang tayo na maayos at everything will fall into place.
Okay, maraming salamat, Napolong Commissioner Attorney Rafael Calinisan. Sir, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much.
It's good to have you today. And that's today's episode of Morning Matters. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.